Hello. Ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Let's start with a prayer to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. We needed that in today, in this world, and particularly the last few days. I'm sure lots of emotion going up and down. So we need to calm that and not become a victim of that, so to speak. So let's do a prayer. Om Nazenam Darajanurupe, Taji Chujujidajupayi, Sangi Judanginuba. Kuna Jazadaja, Tashi Sho, the major president to Dugu, Champagne Bagatapadampa, Kuno Gumboji. Lumbudar Bazara Bedani, Simjatum Jalapang to Pepe, Ism the Bazar of the Balte, Sensum the Betage. The Varjaba Yala Chazolo, Jambejano Padendo Jizzi, Cheresimo Gumbojan Pepe, say in Yaputu. Namgenu Baba Jokundo Zong, Betuji Pegado, no Buddha water to Yimai, Chazalanum Doji. Janjusim Bagala, Chazalo, and Jindu Sergina, to Jumbazayong, Kamana, Yadadunda. When you use him with your color there, and Jadaji Jagajan, should you watch it in Jama, Gazong waterman. Trashila Mogala, Chazalo, some bashing Buddha Jungsumepu, Mito the Danjapu Yugusu, Pajabuda. Num this is a Hazakolota, Rishola down the Dojize, Piwanda, the shooting is in the Sasumnasa. Jide Yuangala, Chazalo, Dajan, the Javasum Bala, Ketanya, what's a work, Punjini, to the babies. Ishin Drup, Tashi Dele, Pusum so Parasho, Dajating, the Javasum. Getanya, what's a work, Punjini, the den babies, some do Ishin Drup, Tashi Dele, Pusum so Parasho, Dajating, the Javasum. Gedanya Warsawa Kunjini, the de bebe, some do Asian troop, Tashi de Leposum so parashu. Palenzavella Marimbush, Palenzavella Marimbushi, Dagichi or Pime de Jula, Kadichi Megunenches. Kusun Tuking on troop, Saldo, Sir. Thank you. I just want to share something, my personal experience. In the Dharma, there is a saying, one's fatherland is the den of the demon. So what that means is, your own country, which from medieval time, and also today there are, I guess, not a lot, but probably less compared to medieval times, family established from generations, like, I'm from Colorado from like 2 generations or 3 generations. But then a lot of people, when in America today, whether you're in Colorado or California or New York or anywhere, people are always migrating. So it's like the family establishment is not something, they have been there for generations, but within one lifetime, people move from one place to another. So they say, I was born in New York, but then I moved to that state, and then I moved to this state. And so, of course, probably that makes less attachment to the place compared to a place where your ancestors from generations and generations have been a resident or living there. That means your relatives, those who are around, your friends and enemies, and even you are born and you're new in this world, and when you grow up, you're still a child, but the family line has been going so long, and that, family friends and family enemy. So whoever is the friend, you become part of that circle, and whoever is the enemy, even you have done nothing to them, but you become their enemy. In their eyes, you are the son of the enemy, their enemy, or daughter of their enemy, or the son of their friend, or the daughter of their friend. So what happens then? The establishment in your mind, attachment and aversion become very strong. So therefore, it is said that, one's fatherland means from generations to generations that you have lived in a place, or like people migrating, establish their business and family and friends and enemy. Of course, enemy and friend is always there to most people. And then the samsara takes a very strong ground, establish. And that is not good as far as the Dharma is concerned. As far as bodhicitta mind, that's an obstacle. So I was thinking, this year the emotion is so high during the election. And now I've been in America since 1988 or 89. It's been quite a while. And though one of my deep insight, my own conviction, never to get involved in politics. Because as a Lama, I've taken the vow of bodhicitta to host all beings without partiality. If I get involved in a political party, automatically that puts me in the camp of one side versus camp of the other side. And that's when you're on this campsite, whoever is in that camp, your friend, and whoever is in the other camp, your enemy. So attachment versus aversion. So attachment and aversion is the root cause of samsara. All the afflictive emotion arise from that. Anger, resentment, and all kinds of things. So I was thinking, I was in the morning, because of the whole country is feeling emotion, I was also feeling an emotion. Wow, this, things happening. Then I thought, this is not good. Now I'm also feeling certain level of bias, emotion, as some level of attachment, though I don't have aversion particularly, but there are so many different policies and so many different agendas, and you feel emotion involved. And when you get attached in subtle aversion, then it's really not good. So there is a saying in the Dharma teaching, one's fatherland is the den of the demon. It's better to leave and go out, leave the country. So I thought maybe it's time for me to leave. Now I'm beginning to have established some. I'm feeling, when you live in a particular society, and then the peoples that that you love, and then if you see them getting hurt or this, then you also feel part of that emotion, So attachment and aversion comes. So then when that get a strong root, then is from the Dharma point of view, it's better to leave, So it just crossed my mind, but don't worry, I'm not leaving. But it crossed my mind. I said, wow, this is how samsara is, really deep and sticky. So there is a saying in Tibetan culture, when you leave your country, I think it's more like Dharma culture, not, I would say, the second one is a little bit mixed with the Tibetan culture, could be, but the first one, definitely, Dharma culture, is to abandon your country, fatherland, so that you cut the life force of the attachment and aversion which causes it. So then you can practice bodhicitta, impartiality. Of course, you can practice bodhicitta. Doesn't mean that you have to abandon your country. Don't get me wrong. Bodhisattvas in every different field. Sometimes bodhisattva in political fields, sometimes bodhisattva, among doctors, among engineers, and including, bodhisattvas in every fields of life to benefit being. Wherever there is afflictive emotion, there is bodhicitta. Good and bad are like two sides, and they both exist. If there is aggression, there is forgiveness. Exists. If there is aggression, there is kindness. It exists. So, therefore, but then there's the other saying in the Tibetan culture that when you leave your country, of course, either you become a bodhisattva, truly practice Dharma deeply, or you become shameless. Because nobody knows you when you go to another country. Nobody knows your history, where you come from. And that's pretty much like in America in some way. People don't even talk to their neighbors. People don't even know their neighbors. And what you do, whether you walk with your head on the street or nobody's going to care. So, of course, but once you spend some time in a place, then people come to know you, and there's a certain level of cautious or, sensitivity. But so basically, either you leave your fatherland, the den of the demon. Demon is the ego. The word demon in the Dharma terms is used, of course, external demon, internal demon, you can define like that. But internal main one is the ego. And according to the Dharma text, it's called Dakche Chawa Dukisim. The one so-called is I grasper. That is the demon mind. So from that comes the attachment and aversion. And from that comes all afflictive emotion, the cause of all of our suffering and confusion and chaos. The nature of samsara comes from that, wrong intelligence, misconstrued intelligence, what is known as ego, the survival based on fear. Anyway, so that was interesting. I was reflecting, this is not good, So personally, I've made my commitment in my life never to get involved in politics, nor do I tell people who to vote, who not to vote, because that's not a Lama's job. For example, state and religion and state is separated in this country, which is wonderful. State should be handled by secular leaders, and religion should be done by spiritual leaders. Spiritual leaders, generally, what should be known as compassionate ones, or on the path of bodhisattva, they should not take sides. They should be in the middle. They should be caring, like doctors. I heard doctors beyond borders, or whatever that's called, whether they're on this camp or that camp, both different military groups or whatever the groups are, the doctors cares for everyone without discrimination. That's how spiritual teachers and leaders should be, not stoking, attachment and aversion, but rather calming down that, because the source of the life force of samsara is the demon of ego and attachment and aversion. That's the job of the spiritual teachers and the spiritual influence, is to calm that down, and finally how we can liberate that. That's the real spiritual practice. So therefore, when I go to Ladakh, for example, I never tell them who to vote. I have big influence. I can tell, I can shift, one candidate definitely can win. But I never tell them who to vote, who not to vote, because that will create like split, and that can create not good result. It's not going to help Dharma, it's not going to help me, it's not going to help them. they should vote whoever they should. I tell people to vote whoever you think is the right person. You should think carefully. And then once you vote, after one will win, one will lose, and don't fight after that. That's it. Vote has its conditioned phenomena. It's not like ever. Not everybody change. Even as long as someone is not enlightened, or someone is not bodhisattva, samsaric being will all change from good to bad to good. So nobody is same all the time. It's just how the conditioned mind is. Image within the conditioned mind are influenced by external factors. Sound, smell, taste, whatever, external. So one is not like realize or awaken into that. People live in that. So when you have so much aversion, I don't like this person, this is a bad person, that's not good. You should not have like that. Or this person I like so much, he's the best and answer. That's also not good. Too much attachment, too much aversion, neither of them are good. And who is the victim? You are the victim, not them. Of course, they maybe have their own problem. But in your life, which is directly coming from your own mind, you're the first recipient of how you project. Whether it's compassion, or whether it's aversion, or whether it's attachment, you are the first person to experience. And you create that world, you create that energy. Based on that energy and that creation, you go through pain and pleasure, or joy and suffering, high and low. That's the cause and effect. So the point of the Dharma is seeing the root cause of samsara, ignorance and ego. That's what we need to work. As a Dharma practitioner, what we need to. And in some way, I would, even Dharma practitioner, yes, we label that in this world, but everybody wants happiness. Everybody wants to transcend. So everyone wants to practice to gain happiness. That's what we are trying to do, is work with our afflictive emotion. Then once we have, cut through that, then the result is happiness and freedom. So, yes, in one way you can say everybody is Dharma practitioner. What Dharma means, on a deeper level, cut through our root of the ignorance, and from which the birth of ego came, and from where duality, from which afflictive emotion, then the entire 12 interdependent, so one thing leads to the next and next and next. That's how things manifest, and that's what we live in, what is called samsara. And samsara is not eternal. Samsara is conditioned, which has not much basis. So therefore, people don't really find much, people can go so far in their life, no matter what they do, whether it's their health, or whether it's their diet, or whether it's their clothes. Nothing can have the effect everlasting. They're all temporarily, they're all time being, for the time being. For the time being, they may look good. For the time being, they may like that fashion. For, the very word fashion shows already impermanence. If there is like no impermanence, if it's everlasting, they wouldn't even, the word fashion will never even come. Then it's like something unchanging. But fashion of the spring fashion, the summer fashion, the winter fashion, the autumn fashion, all this showing the futility of life. So why we get so crazy, hate and aversion and attachment, that which has no much depth, shallow these are. Samsara is shallow. The more you look into samsara, the more shallow you will find. It doesn't have the depth. Therefore, we see a lot of crazy things people doing for no reason. People's like gone crazy, gone mad. We make wars, we fight, all these things. And then at the end of the day, what do you get? You make war, either you are dead, or they put on your coffin a wreath, or your name is Sambit, that's it pretty much. But you, as far as your own consciousness is concerned, whatever the karma you've accumulated, that you will go through. Same thing, billionaires, people live from, in mansions and all this thing. And when they have everything, then they feel so lonely. They're suffering. They have food to eat, they have, clothes, and they have everything. But their minds are dissatisfied. All kinds of pain they go through. So what is there in life? The name also, you can be the highest position in the country, and then, like what we see, election comes and there's a change happening, and it's very painful. Samsara is shallow no matter what. Because seeing this shallow, Buddha Shakyamuni abandoned the palace and seek the everlasting, what is the truth and what is the meaning of life. We all have not seen the meaning of life. What you've seen so far is, very surface of life. Yes, you have tasted ice cream, but after 5 minutes, when you leave the store eating the ice cream, here in Denver, close by here, there's a nice ice cream place, You may know, all of you, even in winter, people eat ice cream, I think. So I'm pretty sure that ice cream is good, because people eat in winter also. But then the moment they leave the store, like 1 block away, it's gone. That's how the shallow. So people can only relate to life on that level, and which doesn't have the depth. And then, they have to repeat that again, and whatever it is, whether it's food or whether it's clothes or whether it's changing, and then something doesn't fit, and something, you're not happy with. And so always like chattering in your mind, unfinished business all the time, unfinished business. Your business never finished. Even you're dying the next second, you're still planning. That's why, His Holiness Dujum Rinpoche, my teacher, he wrote a prayer, an aspiration prayer. In that, it's like few pages, but there's one particular word that stick in my mind very strongly. And he said, please bless me so that I don't plans at the time of death. We keep planning all the time, this unceasing planning. And running after thoughts, running after this, running after that. And what did you achieve? When people are dying, all die with unfinished business, with fear, with resentment. A lot of fear when people die. So basically, what really happened? They squandered their life. That's what really happened. And they regret, but they don't know what else to do. Then the only hope is just to pray. Maybe, I may be taken to heaven. That's just hope. Do they really know they're going to go to heaven? No. If you have to go to heaven, then let's not talk about, from the Buddhist point of view, let's not talk about the deep realization of non-duality. To be heaven in the appearance, heaven is appearance, this world is appearance in our mind, it appears in our mind. Of course, the eye consciousness plays the role to see the houses and mountains and trees and water and so forth. So heaven also, there has to be an eye that you experience, the visual form of that. But how do you get, pleasure and pain, which is relative phenomena, are byproduct of good deeds and bad deeds. Good deeds give the projection of positive phenomena, whether you call that heaven or beautiful world. And bad appearance such as being in a war zone, or being in a hell realm, or being in an animal, or being a bug, that, bug with scary looking and naked, not even a clothes, not even a shoes, they're all surviving by eating each other, killing each other, living in a world like that. It's also mind projection of that creature, but all the same mind, but experience. But all those experiences are temporarily. Even bug is temporarily, human birth is temporary, because human dies, bug dies, dog dies, animals dies, everyone, bird, whoever is born has to die. But how do people, the whole lifetime they create a lot of bad karma. And then they say, when I go, then I'll go to heaven. That is biggest fool's paradise. To believe in such thing is not going to happen. If you want to experience a relative happiness, joy, you have to be kind. You have to practice the virtuous actions. You can't experience that through unvirtuous action. And the root cause of unvirtuous action is ignorance and ego and aversion and attachment and the rest of afflictive emotion. That's what creates frivolousness. That's what's bringing all the suffering. So your cause is, you live in that ignorant mind. You live with the demon mind of ego. And then your practice is all afflictive emotion all the time. Then when you die, you think you're going to go to heaven? Not possible. Cause and effect do not match. Cause and effect has to match. So, then when you talk about bodhicitta, which is a further deeper level, forget it. You can't even practice virtuous physical deeds and virtuous speech deeds and virtuous mental deeds. Let's not talk about bodhicitta. It's way far away. Because then the next level of bodhicitta is so powerful. Whatever you do, whether it's physical or speech or mind, it will come through the wisdom and compassion which transcends the ignorance and ego and afflictive emotion. And that's called bodhisattva. That's basic goodness. That's your fundamental nature, awakened nature, enlightened nature. But how many people do that? They don't even know such thing. There is, wisdom. So many people even hear about wisdom. So many people think just even compassion is a foreign thing. Self-grandizing, ambition, ego, and of course, with that come all the rest of the afflictive emotion. They are not the where bodhicitta arises. That's where afflictive emotion arises. And now, then what happens? You are the victim. You are the victim of your ignorance. You have been roaming in this samsara for eons and eons and eons in this confused mind. And you will further live for eons and eons and eons. Really, believe me. Believe me, that's true. I'm not kidding. You want to get out of samsara, first get your action straight. Practice positive action, body, speech, and mind. Practice bodhicitta. Then after that, finally you can go deeper, understanding the nature of emptiness. But emptiness is very far. Bodhicitta, then right now, first we have to learn how to work with our emotions. And working with the emotion, then you basically see from your outer level of emotion to the inner level of emotion, and then finally the secret level, the nature of the emotion, which is, emptiness, which is wisdom. So one has to do like that. And it's not easy to do those things. In a way it is easy, in a way it's not easy. Easy or not, it needs the commitment in your mind. you have to, get up in the morning, or whenever you have time, afternoon, evening, then you do your practice. Your mindfulness should be there during the daytime, whether in post-meditation or meditation time. Mindfulness is required. In order to counteract the afflictive emotion, you need mindfulness and awareness. Mindfulness and awareness. Mindfulness to know is like the God. Mindfulness, the God. The awareness, then, just simply having mindfulness, oh, this is afflictive emotion. So mindfulness, awareness has to be brought together. And that's what you're learning through the practice of meditation. Shijin and Tempa, Tibetan word is Shijin is for awareness. Tempa is mindfulness. So, I want to talk a little bit today about how in Tibet and how still today, whether in Asia or America, for example, I did my theories retreat in America, not in Asia. I did in San Juan Island, in America, for 3 years. The Dharma tradition, there are two traditions. One is the tradition of the study, knowledge gained through study, knowledge gained through reflection, and then finally knowledge gained through meditation. The knowledge of study, knowledge of reflection, introspection, and knowledge of meditation. The three kinds of knowledge gained through different methods: hearing, reflecting, and then meditation. Totally different level of knowledge and wisdom. So generally there is a study tradition and then there is the practice tradition. Realization happens from the practice tradition. Though you need to have an understanding at the beginning, without understanding you wouldn't know what to practice and how to meditate and what is mindfulness and what is awareness, you wouldn't know. But once you have known that, then simply entertaining your mind in that dualistic fashion, introspecting all the time, introspecting, which is dualistic mind. Dualistic mind cannot resolve dualism. Dualism can be directly contradict, or directly contrariact, not contradict, contrariact, if that's the right English word, counter, sort of counter by non-dual mind, which is the practice level. So, Tibet has been a very amazing place in this world before 1959. It was so spiritually blessed. On the technology level, there was lacking far behind, development in the engineering level. But spiritual level, highly, highly, highly developed, to the point where there were great meditators who achieved enlightenment realization, such as through the trauma practice from Dijum Lingpa tradition. 13 great students achieved rainbow body, their body dissolved into light. And what that really means, now today we know in quantum physics theory that objectively, actually nothing, you cannot posit as something eternal. All phenomena is a probability. There's no something which actually exists, in other words, that actually exists. But they are mere projection of dependence or probability. But when you really look, what's the eternalism in that, what is like any inherent existence in that, there's nothing you can find. Even in the quantum physics theory, they understand that. Of course, subjective part. Now then, if things are just mere, label, mere posit or mere label, then finally it's the subjective mind, where the answer has to be in our subjective mind, our experience of this phenomenal world. Whether your body, whether your emotion, whether your thoughts, all the answer is in your subjective mind. And that is highly developed. So quantum physics theory is already known in the Buddha Dharma. On top of that, today scientists are just beginning to learn about subjective mind now, the observer, the observing the observer. So they're beginning to simply, on a very beginning level, what is mind? Anyway, the point, what I'm saying here is, isn't it amazing good karma to really try to understand our life, reality of phenomena, our conventional world reality, and what's the absolute world reality? So therefore, I don't think this kind of circumstance and condition just happens that easy everywhere. My calligraphy teacher told me that the Second World War didn't affect at all Tibet. He told me there's a so-called Second World War is going somewhere. They have no idea of the maps of Europe and Germany and France and England, or in Japan and whatever. It was so blessed. All what they were, of course, there were like laymen and women too, but there were so many yogis and yoginis, monks, and all like whether they're studying or practicing in a monastery or meditating in the mountains and caves and all into the spiritual was like amazing spiritual, how do you say, spiritual traditions blooming everywhere. And as a result, just not mere idea, but actual realization, like, for example, the 6 yogas, in the Kagyu tradition, there are 6 yogas of Naropa, where they practice, heat, tummo, gyulu, illusory body, milam, dream yoga, astral travel, all of those, and Salung practice, in Mahayoga practice. It was incredible what happened in Tibet. Thanks to Padmasambhava. It was the blessing of Padmasambhava who brought the Dharma to Tibet. Otherwise, Tibet was before a shamanistic country, animalistic, sacrificial, believe in trees and water and moons like that. He transformed the country. Padmasambhava, great Shantarakshita, these 2 masters who came from India, invited by the king in 8th century, transformed, and the effect still today. Still today, even coming to America now, is the blessing of Padmasambhava. Had Padmasambhava never came, then Tibet would not go through that kind of spiritual, amazing happening, people transformation towards enlightenment, bodhisattvas, amazing men and women, amazing yoginis such as Ishitsogel, Lady Ishitsogel, Lady Mandarava, Machik Labdon, amazing ladies. Those are the, great dakinis. Then how many, then other dakinis. Those, some are even like, as they call like unsung heroes, Here's unsung Dakinis too, who don't, simple woman, a village girl, or, someone, a roaming nun, who amazing realize, they don't make big deal, they don't put their big resume, Today here, we just know a little bit and we want to write a book and put a big name and advertise everywhere. But those, they can fly in the sky and they can, amazing qualities, but they're just simple and just basically amazing qualities. That's what happened in Tibet. So, why did that happen in Tibet? Those people, of course, there's no such thing as Tibetanism. Of course, you can say you're Tibetan, I'm American, but there's no such a thing eternal or inherent Tibetanism or inherent Americanism. American person can die and born in Tibet, Tibetan person can die and born in America. It will all be here and there. Nothing is inherent, we know that. It's all shift, But the point is, what I'm trying to say here, accumulate merit. If you have the merit, the condition will come, circumstance will be, supportive to you, condition will be supportive to you. That comes through the merit and your aspiration. So that wherever you are born, the right kind of conditions, right kind of environment, meeting spiritual friends, meeting spiritual teachers, hearing the Dharma, and then able to finally transcend from samsara, that's how it happens. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. The fact that those of you in the Dharma is you due to your merit from the past life. Now, how much further you will go, it depends on, your aspiration and your dedication to the Dharma, your dedication to bodhicitta mind, and your deep conviction to work with your afflictive emotion. And then you can transform yourself, no matter where you are in this world. All things will become supportive to your Dharma. Like Avalokeshvara, like Tara. Don't think that Avalokeshvara and Tara live in a very secure place and then things just, we say like in Star Wars movies, Scott beam me up, some kind of like the rays coming through the holes of some caves. No, they are living in a raw world and they can transform the raw world. When you have bodhicitta, you can transform the neurosis and passion. And you can liberate them. That's what I mean. I'm trying to say that. And for that, you need the bodhicitta, and you need the prajna wisdom in your mind to have that awakening. And to have that, you must sit, you must practice, you must take the priority that my happiness can only happen if I can remove this ignorance and remove this demon of ego. Otherwise, it's just temporarily. Even your health is good, but one day you will get really old, and then your health, you can't even lift your body. It's natural for all of us, it can happen. Or this not working, or that not working. Then, as you get older, when you look back, you're squandered your life, just wasting, chasing this, chasing that, doing this, doing that, all like for nothing good, and you regret, and resentment and anger comes, and that will throw you straight down to lower realm. You must have read in the Shantideva's teaching that among all the emotion, the worst is anger. It's true. It destroys completely our happiness, and the others too. So that's why when the resentment comes, when you look back, that you have not achieved anything right, you have just basically squandered, chasing after with this material thing, which is no inherent existence, just like all this thing, and then even, lot of confusion, lot of chaos, and then you regret, and then there is anger, and that anger destroys all your merit, and your next lifetime goes down to lower realm. Higher realm, lower realm is based on emotion. Compassion leads to higher, and opposite of compassion leads to lower. Very simple. It's a very simple logic. You don't have to think much about that. You don't have to feel confusion if you are full immeasurable. Is that the right kind of mind or not? So you don't have to get confusion. If you have kindness, you're on the right path. If you have compassion, you're on the right path. You know? If you have rejoiced, you're on the right path. If you have equanimity, you're on the right path. Then the path of splitting, aversion, attachment, stalking, and everyone put into the same boat, and then the boat sinks, and everyone is dead. That's samsara. Is every day we're doing that thing. So make aspiration, make merit, and try to practice bodhicitta, do Tonglen practice, do sitting practice, and go to work. Go to work. Bring bodhicitta in your work. Meet your friends, bring bodhicitta. Meet your enemies, bring bodhicitta. Meet yourself, bring bodhicitta. Okay? Thank you. So let's do a sitting now. So, we will have a question and answer period. Say that again.
Jordan just sent a long question on
Okay.
let's start with this one from Maggie. Maggie asks, is pain and suffering necessary for achieving enlightenment?
No. I wish you didn't have pain to begin with. Why should you have pain and suffering? But pain and suffering is caused by our ignorance. So since we have already that, I think if there is a positive side to this thing, is to recognize that. To recognize pain and suffering, that which we don't want. Now, if we don't want pain and suffering, then it's not just going to go away by merely hoping it goes away. You need to tackle the cause of the pain and suffering. That's what the Buddha, when he gave the Four Noble Truths, first he said, understand the suffering. Now, once you recognize there is suffering, then there's a cause to this suffering. Suffering didn't happen without a cause or created by a third agent. Is directly created by our ignorance and afflictive emotion. And so therefore, you remove the cause of that pain and suffering, the suffering will cease. That's which is the third noble truth. In order to cease that, you have to follow a path, meaning you have to do practice. Recognizing first, then apply the antidote, each different emotions, negative cause of that emotion, apply that, and then it will cease to function. So that's how you deal with that.
Thank you, Rinpoche. So Jordan sent a quote and then a question following the quote. The quote is from Elie Wiesel, who is a Nobel laureate author and a Holocaust survivor, so a survivor of the Holocaust during World War II. Elie Wiesel says, "We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." And so Jordan's question is then, does Rinpoche ever think it's appropriate for us to take action and take sides against what we perceive or project as Mara manifested in relative truth? If so, when is it right or skillful to take sides? How many people have to suffer or die needlessly if we might take any sort of action to help defeat it?
Well, it's a very complex question, and I don't think I can just answer like a black and white question in this. But let's see this way. Because people have been taking action all the time, so that is what created the problem in the first hand. Neurotic actions. Had people didn't create the neurotic actions, we wouldn't have all this problem. So you see, and as far as the Eli is concerned, definitely he's not a bodhisattva. He got that Nobel Prize based on a samsaric, psychology. But samsaric psychology is shallow. It doesn't have the depth of bodhicitta. Remember what Gandhi said, is eye for an eye is the answer. The whole world will become blind. And if tooth for tooth is the answer, we will all be toothless today. very soon, it wouldn't take long. Within a few minutes, everyone will start breaking each other's tooth. So therefore, bodhicitta is very deep to understand, or the tolerance, the meaning of tolerance. Therefore the Bodhichara Avatara teaching explain about the 10 bhumis, the bhumi of patience, then the ethics, and then the patience, and then the tolerance. All those are very profound. Now, yes, I'm not saying that you should be, if someone is being, beaten up on the street or chased, instead of trying to avoid, if you have the power to stop that, you should stop. So we're not saying that you just become a spectator, and then just thinking of your as either spectator for entertainment, like for example in India, when there's a fighting, everyone gathers like there's some kind of show happening. Not like that, but rather involve and try to help someone. So I'm not saying you should be passive, but too much actions caused by neurotic, then it's just chaos. So it's very complex. As I said, it's a complex question. You need to go very deep, because bodhicitta is very deep. We just talk about it. Yeah. So answer of Eli is not enlightened answer. I see, yes, there is some, I'm sure he has some good things to say, but definitely it's not the bodhisattva level answer. He doesn't see the depthness of the mind. Even he has Nobel Peace Prize, but I'm not impressed. Let's put it that way. Definitely wisdom is not there. There's some ideas there, but wisdom is lacking. There are a lot of smart people in this world without wisdom.
Thank you, Rinpoche. James asks, Rinpoche, can you please give some specific guidance for Tonglen practice? Should we start with friends and family and then progress through neutral entities to adversaries and enemies?
Absolutely. That's the right way. You start with the person you love, especially, one's mother and father. Of course, some people have problem with that father and mother. If that's the case, then you can start with someone you love. You can just skip that, then try to think your mother and father, and then go towards friends, and then gradually reach the enemies. Because remember one thing, everybody wants happiness, nobody wants suffering. Based on that, and see that your own suffering came from your ego, selfishness. There's one word, it's called Jikten Dewa Chingye Pa Tegun Jende Dwele Chung. Jikten Dungar Chingye Pa Tegun Rangde Dwele Chung. Meaning, in the Tibetan phrases, in the Dharma, all the happiness in samsara came from wishing happiness for others. All the suffering in samsara came from wishing happiness for oneself. The ego trip, which creates afflictive emotion, and due to afflictive emotion, those are the cause of our suffering. Is that the question? What was the question? Tonglen, yeah. So therefore, remembering that, Bodhisattva path is the highest path for enlightenment. It frees you from ego world. It frees you from the prison of ego. There's no other mind than bodhicitta mind which can do that. There's no mind can do that. No ego mind can do that. No revenge can do that. No aggression can do that. Only bodhicitta mind can do that.
James says thank you. Coco asks, Rinpoche, in his book, The Tantric Path of Indestructible Wakefulness, Trungpa Rinpoche speaks of a Vajra hell. Is this something you could briefly tell us about?
Vajra hell is like, the suffering is so intense, you don't even have the time to reflect on the suffering. That's like almost of course, it's not non-dual, but non-dual suffering, so to speak. You know, I mean, it's hard to imagine. It's just, of course, it's dualistic. Otherwise, you wouldn't be stuck in that extreme of pain. But it's just like so much so that you don't even, there's no gap, so to speak, in that pain. And so that's like Vajra, indestructible pain and suffering. Yeah. So that's what Vajra health is talking about. Yeah. Though there are all kinds of different hell realm and all kinds of different suffering that we go through, whether in a human world, you know, we go through all kinds, we all know that. I don't need to mention that to you, what kind of suffering we go through in each different realms. You know, suffering of suffering, the change of suffering, all-pervading suffering, the suffering of animals in specific, suffering of humans, birth, old age, sickness, death, and all different kinds of suffering in the different phenomenal world. Then, you know, in the hell realm, like the lightest hell realm, when we create an energy, when we create a negative, a gigantic negative karma, then the result, effect is called hell realm, means like tormented now. You know, sometimes we go through even in human world, but actually it's nothing comparison to actual hell realm world. The actual hell realm, the lightest one is 360 spear pointing, piercing your body at one time. That's the pain of the lightest hell realm, the 18th level of hell realm. And the Vajra hell is among them the deepest. And it's like the duration of their time is so much that it is said that when the enlightened beings look through their foreknowledge, it's like unbearable, you know, that duration of long time, you know. And then the suffering is so intense. For example, I've noticed if you look in National Geography, lava, volcanic lava, these bacteria which are alive, they don't die. In the lava there's bacteria. That's like, I think, hot hell realm. You know, how many centigrades that lava must be, but it's the karma. Even they're so insignificant looking, but they don't die. And same thing in the Arctic cold. There are beings who can live in that bacteria, live in that coldness, but they don't die. That's cold hell realm, hot hell realm. That's what we can see. And now how many we can't see? Different realms. So it's really like, while we're a human being here in this world for like a very short time, most probably we live for 80, 90. And once you cross 90, then there's, after some time, not much time left. You know, even after 70, 80s, but now coronavirus, even more unpredictable. So for short life, you create so much bad karma, and that only you have to carry that burden. No, you can't share that with your friends or family. Only you who create that karma, you have to, you know, carry that. So why we do sometimes so much negative karma for such a short life and gain so little? You know, sometimes I see like, you know, like in the ocean, you know, first of all, you know, I see really like ignorant practice of fishing. Fathers take their sons to fishing, you know. It looks like fun, but that's a live being with fear and hope and everything. And then you catch that, you chop that, and you fry it, and then you think, wow, it's a great day today, we did fishing. But that's heavy karma. Then if you look, you know, some of the big giant fishing boats, like thousands of lives taken. Same thing, you know, big businesses, you know, hamburgers, you know, millions and millions of hamburgers sold a day, and chickens. And who would carry that karma? The owner For very short life, they create a karma that they throw themselves in the dungeon of the darkness of samsara, that they cannot come out for eons, that karma. Really incredible. When you look at that karma cycle, that what they will go through is unimaginable. Just for a short lifetime gain. Yes, you may become a millionaire or whatever by doing that, but how much you have time to enjoy that? Just maybe 20 years or 30 years. And that also you won't enjoy because of the karmic effect of that. Either you will have crazy experience and mentally disturbed or unhappiness or some different problems of all kinds will happen. And then when you die, people will steal your wealth. Either, here or there, or, it will all disappear. In the meantime, you did that bad karma, you have to carry that. So we have to be very careful in a short lifetime. Make a priority, really, accumulate merit, accumulate bodhicitta. It's the only way that you can save yourself and that you can find liberation, not through neurosis. So we all have to be careful with karma. Hell realm cause is negative karma.
Thanks, Rinpoche. Coco asked a follow-up, but maybe you just answered it. She said, what sends one to Vajra hell? But I think maybe...
What caused one to go to Vajra hell?
Yeah.
The cause to Vajra hell is not easy. Normal, I think even you kill 10,000 people, you will not go to Vajra hell. Going to Vajra hell is like someone who has killed their father, who killed their mother, because even among killing, that's called 5 heinous crime. It's a very heavy karma. You kill your father, you kill your mother, then there is no bardo for that person. One goes straight down. The moment one closes their eyes, it goes straight down to the hell realm. There's no bardo. And then Buddha, killing Arhat, one teachers like that. So it's very heavy karma. And someone who has done Vajrayana practice, received profound teachings on samayas, bodhicitta, and not upholding those. And then, in fact, after receiving so profound teaching, disparaging the teaching, and kind of paying no attention and not attentiveness, in fact making jokes about karma. Oh, karma is just a joke. There's no cause and effect. Everything is just like happens randomly, things like that. And emptiness is just like just like mumbo jumbo, emptiness, and the Dharma practitioners are just fools. For example, all those slanders, those are the cause to go to Vajra hell. Yeah. Because you're directly is a cause and condition. To be born in a Vajra hell is a condition. And the cause of that condition is something I don't even know how to say in English, disrespect definitely, but something slanderous with negativity, like there's no cause and effect, there's no compassion, there's no effect, just this life, and totally disregard from the external level cause and effect, internal level compassion, secret level emptiness. There's all the union of wisdom and compassion. Totally disregard and say, oh, just you have one's life, you only live once, like in James Bond movie. You only live once, but actually you live millions of times. You don't, the cycle of samsara. But we like to think you only live once, so go ahead and become crazy. It doesn't work like that in reality. We have to respect karma, because continuum of mind is not material, it's immaterial, and it keeps going on and on. You can't see your mind, it's not an object. And even people die, they don't know they're dying, they think they're living. So you continues that experience. So therefore, really, we have to be very careful. So cause of Vajra hell is breaking this maya of Vajrayana, killing one's father, mother, And of course, I think if you'd kill millions of people, beings, I think one can go to hell realm. Extremely, it requires such an intense level of negative karma to destroy tremendous destruction, something like that.
In Rinpoche, I think it's Jackie Bruni who's asking another question about hell. If you are in the hell realm, can you be reborn and lead a good next life?
Yes, of course. No one remains in hell forever, So therefore I said Buddhist hell is not as bad as Christian hell. Christian hell, you go forever. Buddhist hell, you don't go forever. There's a time limit. Why? Because hell is a conditioned world. Going to the cause of the hell is also conditioned. And what does that mean? Anger. Anger is conditioned. Emotion, subject, object, interaction of many things, which is devoid of inherent existence. So finally, that karma has to resolve. It may take like maybe 10,000 years or 1 million years you may have to be there. But at the end, you will come out of it. So there's no such thing as eternal hell, because cause of the hell is karma. Karma is impermanence, devoid of inherent existence. So you can't, which is devoid of inherent existence, conditioned nature cannot create unconditioned eternal hell realm. You see? Anger is not unconditioned emotion. Anger is a conditioned emotion. The conditioned emotion can throw you to a conditioned realm, not to unconditioned realm.
I think that's all the hell questions for right now. Maggie asks, does peace without start with peace within?
Does peace what?
Does peace without start with peace within?
I didn't understand. What does it mean? Peace without?
Yeah, like maybe peace outside of...
Yes.
Maybe this is like a self question.
Yeah.
So like peace outside of ourselves, maybe in our countries and between neighbors, start with peace within.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Is peace within? Yes. Yeah. You're right.
And then one more question from James Rinpoche. But maybe this question actually is an opportunity to ask you about long life prayers. So his question is, can we recite the long life prayer for the Venerable Chhoje Tulku Rinpoche before our world peace prayer tonight? But then my thought is, can you give us a short teaching about what is the long life prayer and why do we say them, and what's the tradition around those prayers?
You see, our phenomenal world, the conventional phenomenal world, is a conventional phenomenal world, in other words. And in the conventional phenomenal world, we create positive circumstances and we create negative circumstances. And not everyone has the same karma due to their different karma. Some live longer, some live less, and some, in order to live longer, they need to better health and better merit and long life practice and all different methods which happen. So now, of course, one of the greatest ingredients, so to speak, for long life is within a Sangha, love and respect, among the Sangha. That's very important for Lama's life. It's very important to every Sangha's member life. If we have, aggression and fighting and quarrel within our Sangha, then that place and center will not grow. People within it will not grow. It can shorten the life of the teacher, and many obstacles like that will arise. If everyone is harmony, everyone is practicing bodhicitta mind, everyone is tolerant to each other, everyone's ready to listen to each other, and then Lama will live long. Sangha, brother, sister will grow in that Sangha, and there will be peace, and there will be peace in the world wherever they reach, their families and society. But if we all like fighting and then reading long life practice is not going to make much. So most and foremost important in love and respect to each members and tolerance and kindness, those are very important. That is your long life, that is Lama's long life, that is the peace and enlightenment which can happen to you through that. And of course, the long life practice are read, in the Vajrayana tradition. So we, ask the Lama to live long, and due to the merit, everyone aspiring that will happen. For example, when majority of the people want to choose someone, then is first the thought goes, and then they choose someone. Just like if you first, before you eat, you want to think you want to eat that, and then you eat that. For example, like that, these are all creating right kind of circumstances. Yeah, but thank you. That's very good. You should do the long life practice, in your home. Usually during meditation, I try, just do the world peace prayer. So let's continue that way. Yeah. Any other question? Okay.
That's all, Rinpoche.
All right. Thank you all. Please do good. Be kind to yourself. And if you are kind to yourself, doesn't mean you go and buy yourself a cold ice cream in the winter time, then you will get a flu. So beware of that. But be kind to yourself with bodhicitta. That'll be better than ice cream. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience,
and thus defeat the neurosis and negative actions which are the enemies.
From the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death,
from the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
Thank you. Good night.